Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com and elearntarot.com, and today I'm going to be talking about the Decans of Libra. We're going to continue on our Decan Walk, and this is, I believe, the seventh sign, the seventh zodiac sign that we'll be diving into, and this is the sign of Libra, which typically it starts around the 23rd of September and wraps up by 22nd of October. This is usually when the sun is transiting through the sign of Libra in the skies. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to understand what this sign is about, what the zodiac sign is about. We are going to, of course, bring it back to our cards, and we are going to then see the three different decans and how the energy of the sort of the planet in Libra sort of end up showing up in the tarot cards that are associated with that particular deck. That's the whole point. Okay, so let's begin. Oh yeah, and before we begin, there's just a few quick, admin stuff that I need to sort of tell you. The handouts, the slides, the PDF of the slides, all of this, the download links for that, you will find that in the description of this video, so you can totally go click there and sort of get to that. What I also do is I don't write a script for this video. These notes are sort of my guideposts, so I end up speaking just whatever comes, and then I transcribe it. I use a service and I transcribe it, and I take that transcripted text and then I clean it up a lot and then I put it up as a blog post. So if you are the kind who wants to, like, no, I don't need to listen to this rambling conversation, I want to go read it properly, okay, great. The blog post is the link for that is also in the description, so you can totally go read it there. And additionally, on the blog post you will find journaling prompts. So if you guys are at all interested in the journaling aspect of it, then just hop on over to the blog and scroll down to the very end. I'll have journaling prompts for you over there. And finally, you can adjust the playback speed. This has been a game changer for me. So I think you can go to the gear icon somewhere in the video, and then you click on that, and somewhere you'll see speed, and you can adjust it to 1.25 or more, whatever your thing is, and listen to this video. It's a game changer. It's mind blowing. It's a game changer, and trust me, it has certainly improved the quality of my life. So yeah, use that service. It's kind of built in with this, so you can totally do that. And then of course, at the end of this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I have to say that, but I'm saying that right at the beginning because you know by the time this video wraps up, I'll be like, oh, let's just wrap up. Oh, and yeah, the newsletter, I would like you to also consider subscribing to my newsletter. Again, link is in the description. The reason I say that is we're kind of in the today is the 1st of October as I'm recording this video. You'll probably see it in a day or two, but towards mid-October, my plan is, and I usually kind of do that, I have this whole pre-order your annual reading thing that I do. I do this like every time towards the end of the year. You can pre-order, and I have a discount code for that, and that'll be in the newsletter. So this time I'm also introducing a different spread for the annual reading or semi-annual reading, as if you like that sort of thing. So if you are at all interested in that sort of thing, go and sign up for the newsletter, so you'll get that and you'll get the discount code. So then, October, November, and like the first half of December, that's how long this offer will be open. So whenever you can totally put it in your budget and so forth, please go ahead and pre-order. It is an amazing reading. I keep getting so much good feedback for that. It's a month by month sort of look at your life story, right, year by year. And then you go read the things when, or you can just go on my site and see the thing, and then you can plan for it. I'll be offering like a 10% discount, so that that's good. And then, in the depending on how many orders I get, I will, start fulfilling those orders, one reading every day. In December, I'll start sending them out, and you should have it. So I'll sort of plan everything, and you'll have it before the next year begins. So this way you can have an idea of what to expect, and so on and so forth. All right, so that's the admin stuff. So for that, sign up to the newsletter. Again, that link should be in the description. I will definitely make sure it's there. And then, you'll get the code when I have the whole thing set up. All right. So that being said, let's get down to business. So let's start with Libra. Let's understand this zodiac sign. See, the thing with Libra is this is the only zodiac sign that is not represented by a living being, like, like a person or an animal or stuff like that. What we see as a representation is usually a pair of scales. Now, this symbol, this glyph, this astrological glyph of Libra that you see here, well, a lot of people say, oh yeah, pair of scales. You can see this in this beautiful picture here as well. But this is actually the evening sun above the horizon. Can you believe that? This is so cute. And I believe this sign in the northern hemisphere starts after the autumn equinox. This is, Libra is the 7th sign. So if you see this on your astrology sort of wheel, it is bang opposite Aries, right? It's kind of where the story begins to shift, if you will. And so where Aries, the ram, is like all about like running out of the gate like a crazy, wild ram, and starting everything. Libra is all is you can say it's kind of like the opposite of it. It's kind of a, hey, take it easy, balance, right? This is the whole vibe of this particular sign. It's all about balance. Now, Libra is ruled by Venus, which is very interesting because Venus is an earth element planet. Libra is an air element sign, so which, elementally they are kind of opposite elements. But here's the thing, Venus is all about harmony. Venus is about sort of bringing everything, beautifying it, making it look good, making it feel good. And Libra is about balance. So when these energies sort of combine, what we get is a love of beauty, a balanced sort of perspective for beauty. Libra is about equilibrium, it's about peace and harmony, which again, very much, very Venusian vibes as well. Harmony and balance in everything. So you see a lot of artists and designers, architects. They have a very strong Libra energy about them because that's kind of it's about perspective. It's the aesthetic sense. Now this is interesting because if you have studied anything or if you've read around or online, you'll see that oftentimes people talk about beauty and symmetry, right? Like even when we are looking at people, usually the most symmetrical their features are, the left and right sides of the body, the more symmetrical they are, the more people say, hey, there's something about this person. This person looks very beautiful. It's very interesting how that automatically, inherently, instinctively sort of becomes beautiful for us. So style, form, and that aesthetic sense is all about bringing that balance and symmetry, and that is the whole sort of Libran vibe there. So these people also, along with art and design, architecture, they are often very good sort of mediators and peacemakers. They are pretty polished and stylish. They have good manners. They're very charming and graceful and diplomatic and tactful. So they really become, these people who can bring that connection. They are absolutely the people to kind of have on your side in a way, working for you, bringing harmony, bringing balance, bringing sort of, compromise, right? They're also pretty willing to compromise. They are the people who will create that energy of compromise. They can be great for as strategists also, right? Librans, interestingly, being an air sign, they are pretty openly expressive. They can be very communicative. They love being, ruled by Venus. That kind of is a given. They love flirting. They love relationships. But overall, their whole thing is that they love freedom. They have all, it's a sign about justice. It's about independence, equity, equality, and fairness, right? Now, of course, like with every sign, Libra has a little bit of a flip side. See, they linger with decisions. Why? Because they're weighing the pros and cons, and they keep weighing it and keep weighing it till they're done. So they can be like, oh my God, decide, right? It can be a little annoying. They do linger with decisions. They are very conflict avoidant. So in order to do sort of avoid conflict, they'll often end up in weird compromises, which, they'll not be happy with it, but they'll do it because they don't want to get into conflicts. So they can be unrealistic idealists. And if there's some unpleasant insights, they don't want to look at it. They suppress it. They can come off sometimes being, or being perceived as superficial or cunning. Again, this can often be a result of them trying to sort of, make everything look nice or harmonize everything. So some people are like, why is she being so nice when, that is kind of a very Libran thing. They are often perceived as uncommitted. Again, it has to do with them trying to see all sides and balance everything out. So they can't quite commit to anything. This is also an interesting one. It is often felt that they want everybody's sympathy, and well, they kind of maybe deserve it the way they are trying to balance everything. Yeah, they got my sympathy. Librans can come off again seeming very moody or capricious, sometimes even hypocritical, because again they often speak from both sides, and they can seem gullible, and they can completely be passive aggressive. Okay, so Librans, they have their qualities, plus and minus, all in balance. Yes. So that is the whole energy of Libra. It's about beautiful balance, if you must, right? Because Venus is all about beauty and harmony, and we have Libra, which is about balancing everything. And so we have that harmonious, beautiful sort of balance everywhere. And that is the whole vibe of Libra, if you will. Bringing it back to our tarot cards, Libra is associated with the Justice cards, right, in the major arcana. And Justice, now in the Rider-Waite, Justice is card number 11, whereas in the Marseille and Thoth worlds, it's pretty much the number 8 card. There's a whole controversy about the 11 and the 8 and how Rider-Waite, not Rider-Waite, how Waite decided to swap it out and whatever. But the point is, a lot of people say that Waite did that so that it would align with the how the signs and the planets, or sort of show up in the zodiac. And okay, that works. So this ends up being card number 11. Interestingly, I like how the balance is there, 1 and 1. You also see that with the number 8, 4 and 4 and the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, it worked out, right? It all worked out. You'll see a very familiar sort of imagery showing up. You have these pair of scales, right, everywhere. Most of them will also, the ladies will be having a sword in one hand and the pair of scales in the other. Yeah, even in here, even in the Thoth one, you have these scales and then you have the sword right here too in the Delos Tarot. So yeah, there's the sword, there's the pair of scales. To me, the pair of scales, that makes sense. That's the very Libran thing. It's about balance. That sword, again, is a connection, I think, to the air energy, right? Because Libra is an air sign. And it also kind of tells me that, they have that very clear, finally, in this sign, they have had that clarity, because Ace of Swords, they have the clear idea, the decision has been taken, and now they will act on it. That is the vibe I often get. So here in the Rider Waite, you see this is about balanced decisions, judgment, weighing the pros and cons, and acting also upon the decisions that they have taken. Because again, it's easy enough, I suppose, to come to a decision comparatively, but then you act on it. That is the next one, and that's often very, very hard. Justice is also then associated with legal matters and paperwork, red tape, court cases. But bottom line, justice is served. So it depends, right? Sometimes the people you're reading for, they might be on the other side of the law, and well, justice will be served. That's how it goes. So if they are wrong, they will pay for it. That is how it goes. So here you see a similar vibe in the Marseille Tarot Justice card as well. It's about balance, it's about being fair and just and equal and structured, graceful, all of that. It's about humanity, it's about the legal issues and law. It's about having certain moral standards, a developed conscience. And on the flip side, can be a little sharp, critical, and repressive control of self and others. That's why. Oh, the thought image. Now look at this. This is beautiful. I mean, I'm in love with the thought imagery as it is. So first of all, you see this lady, she's standing on her tiptoes. That's, again, it's all about balance. Everywhere you go in this card, it's all about balance. She stands on her tiptoes. She has the sword, right? And she's wearing sort of this mask, if you will. Her eyes are masked. That's an interesting one. Here and here, you see this eyes are masked, whereas in the Rider Waite and in the Marseille, the eyes are not masked. That's something wild, right? Now you'll be wondering, what are these sort of orbs and spheres all about? These blue and green ones. They are the colors of wisdom and contemplation. So we have all these, one second, let me see if okay. So, and then they're wearing the crown with ostrich feathers. You see that here as well. And again, it's all about, this is connected with the goddess Ma'at, who, once you died, you go into the underworld. This is the Egyptian thing. Like, they'll weigh your heart against the feather of Ma'at, and if you're good, then you go to heaven and so forth. That whole concept. But you see also over here, you have the Alpha and the Omega. These are the signs from the Greek alphabet. The the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. This is also there in the Thoth. You'll see her in her scales. You'll see these chains, so everything is connected and linked. It's all about, it's very interesting, and it's all sort of, balanced, this picture. Same here with the telos as well. You see that. You see the whole sort of equilibrium, balance, concentration, objectivity, clarity, right? Truth, karma, fairness, discernment, legal issues, right? Action and reaction, all of that. So we see that. Now, again, these two cards from the Thoth world are called adjustment, right? Because you have to adjust a few things here and there so the balance happens, right? Here in the Rider Waite and in the Marseille Tarot, it's called Justice. Again, as I said, the Justice cards, or the cards that are titled Justice, the lady sitting there in the seat of justice, she's not having her eyes are, her eyes are open. Whereas here in the Thoth one, where the adjustment is happening, it's her eyes are closed. There's like something that's covering their eyes. I feel this is pretty wild because now the adjustment that is happening is purely instinctual rather than, with eyes open. Maybe that's the imagery. Maybe that's what it kind of talks about. It's pretty interesting. All right. So here we do see the very Libra energy of balance happening. It's all over, in the pair of scales and the overall vibe of this card. So okay, that matches. All right, so let's start with our first decan, which is Moon in Libra, and it's connected with the Two of Swords. Okay. This first decan, or the first 10 degrees of Libra, this is typically the time frame from the 23rd of September to the 2nd of October. Now this decan, Moon in Libra, the Picatrix Decan's book talks about it this way. The image here is a man holding an arrow in his right hand and the picture of an upside down bird in his left hand. Okay. Again, this Picatrix Decans is just, I don't know what to make of it. But again, the energy associated with this decan is legitimacy, justice, fairness, protection of the weak and needy from tyrants and people in powerful positions. Okay. The similar card from the telos, because the telos imagery often incorporates a little bit from the decan imagery. We've seen that, so we do see that here. We see this man holding, and like it's a spear, but it's kind of like an arrow, I guess, in his right hand, and he's holding something in his left hand. It looks like a book, right? And we see these two swords crisscrossed here. We have the scales hanging from them. We see the Lady Justice like a statue over there. We also see that little moon. This is very Two of Swords, right? Like that little crescent moon. Now, we see all these elements, and this card is about, again, equilibrium, balance of mind, peaceful reconciliation of opposites, division replaced by equanimity. So that's pretty wild. It's again all about balance. Okay. Now, when I was looking at this, right, it reminded me of hang on. Here we go. It reminded me of my geometry box. We used to have these sort of dividers, or I guess when we were doing the physics thing, we had calipers, I believe. So they are used to sort of precisely measure the distance between 2 points, because 2 points. So I saw this and I was reminded of that. I'm like, ooh, this is wild. So again, this is going to become even more interesting as we go on to the next two cards from the telos. So stay tuned. So yeah, it did remind me of that, and it's pretty wild because again, we're talking about balance, we're talking about reconciliation of opposites. So it's again two different sides, 2 points, and this you have to find out that precise distance, so to find the perfect spot where things will get balanced, I suppose, right? That's wild. Okay, so we've seen the energy of moon before. Moon is again not a planet per se, it's a satellite. It is a watery element that is associated with it. It also rules the sign of Cancer. And so moon is all about emotions and personalities and motherhood and the relationships with the mother, family traditions, childhood, nurturing, right? It's about perception, it's about that feminine drive, that instinctive sort of intuition, your inner motivations, right? What drives you? What are the emotional undercurrents, right? All the watery aspects of your personality, right? The emotional security, the sense of that security. And so it's your habits and your nuances and your expressions and the experience of all of this. And so conversely, moon can be also about insecurities, anxieties, and very, very fears, right? And those touchy personal defenses. So moon is all about the feelings and the emotions and that instinctual, emotional, intuitive aspect of you, plus both positive and negative. That is the whole energy of the moon. In the tarot, this is also associated with your High Priestess card, which again, yeah, we've gone through this before in the previous one. So let's I'm going to try not to linger much here. But the High Priestess, again, it's all about that inner knowledge that she has that scroll, that book, and all of that. And over here, she kind of here in the thought, you see she's basically weaving the threads of reality, and we've seen how even in the Kabbalah, the High Priestess is kind of the connection from Kether to Tiferet. So she's like bringing that whole divine wisdom into the consciousness. High Priestess essentially is a very powerfully, in sort of, this card has been given kind of that power, I feel. It's beautiful. It's about that contemplation, intuition, empathy. It's about that wisdom that comes from within. It's about sort of mysterious hidden knowledge, if you will. It's about esoteric knowledge and the uh, initiation to mysteries, right? So all in all, the High Priestess really does capture that very mystical vibe of the moon energy. And it kind of, moon is also about reflection and the phases of the moon and the whole thing. So there's a lot that the moon hides and shows, and it's like shape changes, if you will. And there's a lot that it goes through, and the moon in that way can be a very mystical entity, as it were. So yeah, that's kind of conveyed here with this High Priestess card, right? So then in our Oracle of the Radiant Sun, in that particular deck, this card, Moon in Libra, is associated with the keyword companionship. And over here we see 4 classical feminine figures who link arms in friendship. All right. And below we see, like these 2 hands, doing the handshake. They are greeting each other. And we also see the pomegranate, which is a symbol of fertility and growth, right? So this is agreements, and this is, fertility and growth. Again, very interesting how even in the High Priestess we see that pomegranate connection, right? So moon here is about security, and Libra is about the sense of justice and beauty. And together, moon and Libra, we are looking at emotions influenced by people around them. Okay, so these are people, whose emotions are influenced by people around them, right? Naturally. Libra is all about, other people, right? They care about other people's feelings quite a bit. And so with moon in there, your feelings are going to be influenced by that. They want everything to be harmonious because, that way less emotional drama, I guess. They immerse their emotional needs in someone else's difficulties, right? So they are, the empathy is on all the time, and they take it on and they try to fix it. That's the whole thing. The desire to please and keep everything in harmony leads to giving into tricky situations to maintain that harmony. Affected by the environment, constantly trying to be the peacemaker. So this can also depict this card, or this combination can talk about marriage or a relationship entered into for emotional and domestic security. This can be someone who has a beautiful home. Well, yes, Libra brings beauty. Moon is also about that sort of intuitive thing about beauty. Cancer, which is the sign ruled by Moon, is about the home. So you connect those dots. It's about home decoration, business discussions, okay, contracts, seminars, teamwork, new friendships, and social meetings. Oh, this is why, right? Libra brings all this contracts and teamwork and all that, and Moon brings all the emotional aspects into play. Makes sense. Okay. They need to be mindful that they don't get treated like a doormat. So Moon and Libra, you guys, if you have this combination in your chart, right? Now, the tarot card we are going to look at is also, it's the Two of Swords. So this number two again being about duality. Again, this whole, let's balance these 2 points out. It's about cooperation, and it's about choices. It's about conscious mind. It's about partnership, connection, imbalance, feelings, sensitivity, either or. It's again anything that can happen with 2 points in play. This is the energy of the number two. Okay, so in Two of Swords with Moon and Libra, how does this show up in our tarot cards? Let's see. Oof, the Two of Swords of the Rider-Waite-Smith. Look at that little crescent moon, right? And she sits here with those two swords in her hands, crisscross. Her hands crisscrossed about, around her, about her chest. It's like, oh, I'm going to protect my feelings. That's what I've always felt when I've looked at this. And her, she's got that blindfold. So she's going to choose clearly, and she doesn't want to see what's ahead of her, right? She's unwilling to see what lies ahead, or maybe she's unable because of that blindfold. And so, guided by her emotions, she will decide which way to go, which choice to make, which option to go for. Again, remember, when you get this card in the reading, it's at least two things that you will have to decide from, but if there could be more too, but this card is often about choices and decisions, okay? Now, occasionally, especially when this card shows up reversed in your reading, this one says, hey, I've already kind of decided. I just need a validation from the tarot reader, which is fine. This card also can talk about procrastination, in the negative or reverse side, or not having a choice, or a decision that's been made by others. So you have to just sort of accept it. But that's just, how this shows up in the reading. But yes, this card can be all about those decisions, right? And it's about maybe not even being understanding what that decision will lead to, but I'm going to still go with what sits right with me. That's the whole vibe of Two of Swords. The tarot, the Marseille Two of Swords. What can I say? When I was looking at this card, I went and I looked at all the other swords cards in the deck, and here's what I realized. This flower you see here, this is the biggest one ever. Like, I think even in amongst all the other minor arcana cards, it's within this Two of Swords image, with bound by these two swords. You see, this is the biggest, brightest, beautifulest flower you will see. And you will see again these leaves. You will see these little seeds, I guess, or little buds, coming up on this side. So this is again interesting. This one here within that Marseille imagery context, you can see this card is talking about protecting something that is very beautiful, very precious, right? Within the bounds of those two swords. This can be about boundaries, then. This can be about limits that protect and define something that is developing. This can be about duality. This can be about sort of blocking or protecting, blocking something from this, what is being protected. This is about taking advantage of existing situations, a clear perception of the situation. So there you go. So let's come to the thought. This is wild, this one, right? So we see these two swords crisscrossing, and right in the middle is this flower. I believe it's a blue lotus, or blue rose blossom, right? It's about mercy, it's about peace. We also see two more swords, very interestingly. These over here, the bottom, which has connects with the symbol of Libra, and this one connects with the symbol of the moon. And we see these designs here, which again, all, harmoniously and evenly spread away around, in the background. So this card, in the thought, it talks about balance. It talks about compromise. Again, very Libran values, very Moon and Libra too, because Moon also would like harmony. Moon would not like all the ups and downs that happen with emotions. Moon wants that harmony, especially with that two energy around. Moon wants the balance to happen. So yeah, we have that balance. We have that sort of serene energy. It's about compromise. It can be about clever business tactics and fair negotiations. This can be about resolving conflicts. This is about inner peace, right? The key word here is peace. So there's that. Harmony and equal partnership. So, in a very wild way, this one is about balance and peace. Whereas the Rider-Waite card, it's about choices. Again, see the difference, right? The Rider-Waite card is about choices and decisions. The Marseille Tarot card is about, boundaries and protection and separation and blocking, something, things to do with boundaries and protection. The thoughts, the imagery is again about sort of balance and compromise and resolving conflicts and finding that peace. And we see a little bit of that here too. This crisscross of the swords is carried forward in the telos as well. And we see the Decan guy, and we see the balance as well. We see the little crescent moon. So it's a little bit of everything. So here again, equilibrium is reached. We have the peaceful reconciliation of opposites, a fair evaluation, division replaced by equanimity, inner peace, and mediation, consensus, all of that, all the Libra stuff happening. So yeah, that's there. So we do see a few different shades here of Moon and Libra in each of these cards, and that makes sense. It tracks. So we do see that Moon and Libra energy show up pretty interestingly, slightly differently in each of these systems, but it does show up. So yay, good for us. So we do see that. So here we go. Yeah. And we see these, the divider or the calipers as we call them. Feast your eyes on the Two of Swords, Moon Libra. All right. So now let's go to the Three of Swords, Saturn in Libra. This one's quite a doozy. Saturn is always a little bit of a doozy, right? From the astrology perspective. So this is the second decan of Libra, which starts around the 3rd of October and then goes up to the 13th of October. And this card here in the Picatrix, it is, the description is a black man leading a wedding. Okay, and it's associated with relaxation, wealth, good living, security, peacefulness, and easy living. Tell that to the Three of Swords, right? It's just sometimes I have no way of reconciling what happens in the Picatrix definition with the keywords that come with it, and then what we see in the associated tarot cards. It's just now when we see this image here in the from the telos, we do see again a black man. I don't know if he's leading a wedding, but he's standing there and he's holding this. There's this, what is this? The heart. This is like an actual heart. And then we have the three swords. Like one sword has pierced the heart, and it's linked to these two swords which are kind of surrounding it. And this heart has grown wings? And he's sort of showing this. He's opening his cloak to show us that. Wow. Now, when I looked at this, right, I mean, these are the meanings that are associated with this card, right? Self-realization, sublime yet painful truths of sorrow that leads to enlightenment, and so on. And we'll look into this in much more detail when we look at the Three of Swords. When I looked at this, really honestly, all I could think about was this. You see how the shape is? This device is called a sextant, right? This is a device that the sailors used to use back in the day. They still use it. Like, this is not digital, so like if everything goes off, you can still. This is a device they use to determine their position by measuring the angles, with respect to different sort of celestial bodies. So like you can see, oh, this star is there, and so then that's why we are here, and then you can map it out on the latitude, longitude of your map and so forth. So this is the device. See how the shape is. That's what I got reminded of when I was looking at this. So yeah, this is about navigation and guidance and finding one's way in the sea of life, symbolism and all that. But yeah, that is your sextant. It kind of looks like that. Okay, this is wild. So now let's look at Saturn. Or we've already done that. Saturn is an Earth element planet, and it's also classical astrology. It's the last planet, it's the outermost planet. It rules Capricorn and Aquarius. And Saturn, we also did the whole mythology thing, the Greek mythology and Roman mythology thing. This was the old, king of the gods, if you will. The father of Zeus or Jupiter. All right, so, and the son of Uranus. Yeah, that's quite a storyline there. So anyway, this is Saturn. Saturn is about maturity through adversity. It's about wisdom. It's about responsibilities and personal authority. It's about duty and karma and accountability. It's about, hey, drop your ego and be humble. It's about boundaries and borders and structures and foundations and traditions. It's about longevity, durability, ambition, discipline, control, patience, stability, persistence, right? And therefore, on the other side, it can also be about restrictions, obstacles, struggles, delays, someone who's stuck in their old ways, hard work, trials, and karma. So, yeah. The whole point I have understood about Saturn is that Saturn is about being particularly honest and particularly truthful with oneself and with everything that one does, right? It's not an easy path. And it really forces you to drop your ego and sort of look at yourself with that very straightforward sort of energy and say, yeah, this is who you are. Fine. Like, accept it, live with it, love it. And so Saturn makes you do that. Otherwise, if you run, the more you run away from that, the more it'll push you there, the more it'll make you happy, make you kind of, come to terms with that. So that is Saturn for you. Okay. Now, in our tarot deck, this is associated with the World card, which is kind of, conversely, quite a happy-ish card, if you will. Talks about success and victory and achievement of the long-term goals. This is like the big picture finally coming to, completion. Now, this was the last card in the major arcana, and Saturn being sort of classically the last planet. And then you see this, this, whatchamacallit, this laurel wreath here, right? And so yeah, I mean, this is all, maybe it looks like Saturn's rings. So this was a very natural sort of association that happened with the World card and Saturn. But again, here too, the lady in the world dancer, is sort of, floating with the universe, and all the four elements, the representations, angelic ones, are on the four corners. You see that imagery repeated across all the systems, the Rider-Waite, the Marseille, the Thoth, and the Telos. You see the same thing. The world dancer, we have, this all-encompassing, sort of energetic laurel wreath, if you will, a symbol of success and accomplishment. This is being the last card of the major arcana and all of it. It's also about finally completing and accomplishing that goal that you set out to do, and it's about manifestation. It's about seeing the bigger picture. It's about, big picture, the whole world. And, on a very mundane level, this can be about, traveling internationally, right? This card is truly, again, in terms of the energy, Saturn also, like, if you were to, it's wild, but Saturn is kind of often said, in a lot of astrology context, Saturn can be a kingmaker. Your placement of Saturn can really, really make a big difference in your personality or different aspects of your life. And here too, we see that, well, the world card is a little positive ish vibe. We have this completion, success, big picture energy, but world card is also associated with success, right? And we have all of this happening here in this card. So, well, the mood may be different, but the world card also does say, because it comes at the very end of the major arcana, so it's not like, hey, right away everything is happening. No, you have to go through all the cards, all the 20 cards or 20 or so steps really to accomplish your goal and reach the end of that particular journey. So I guess there is, struggle and the delay, and success doesn't happen right away. So yeah, that is pretty Saturn, I would say. So yeah, that's your world and Saturn connection, right? Now let's look at Saturn in Libra from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Here again, this is a very interesting image. We see this dove sitting in the tree, and its partner is sort of lying on the ground motionless, so one assumes that the partner has died. But this one, it won't leave its side. Yeah, that's devotion for you, right? And we see here sun, moon, and stars, right? The whole thing. So Saturn in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra. So what does that mean? Remember, we've seen that whole chart, right? Like, the reason I would say it's exalted is because in Aries, it's debilitated. So on the opposite side, it's exalted. And the thing is, Saturn, because it is about justice, because it is about that, it's a very divine justice, I would say. Saturn's about karma. Saturn is about bringing a certain balance into play, right? And Libra is also all about balance. I guess they energetically align, and so Saturn feels okay. I can do more here, right? So Saturn is exalted in Libra, and in this particular deck, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, they've given the keyword of ambition to Saturn, and Libra, of course, is sense of justice and beauty. So when they combine, we are talking about someone who has a lot of social responsibility or works for the community, right? There's a strong sense of justice in relationships, all kinds of relationships, right? Business, personal, they have to have that justice thing happening. And justice, again, is not always legal, but also it's like balanced and fair, right? They have a very beautiful ability for arbitration or legal matters. That makes sense. um, they are very devoted, right? Now, this is again, this devotion aspect does come from Libra, also because Libra is ruled by Venus, I would say, and Saturn having that patience and endurance, or because in order for Saturn to do its thing, it has to be, the patience has to happen, right? So now we are looking at long, enduring, unstinting devotion to a relationship or partnership. That is Saturn in Libra. Saturn in Libra can also talk about late marriage, something, Saturn always, everything with Saturn is late. And Libra, again, being that balance, it's marriage. So it's seventh sign, seventh house, so marriage, right? But again, so late marriage or a life partnership with someone who is very serious, Saturn, older Saturn, career oriented, ambitious, stable, Libra, and an enduring relationship. So this is someone, like an older person who's also very career oriented and stable. And then that if you can form this very enduring, long relationship, that is also Saturn and Libra. Pretty wild. Saturn in Libra is prepared to work hard to maintain their responsibility in relationships, right? So they take it super seriously. And again, because of that whole Saturn and Libra energy of, balance and justice, they're like, I'm working hard here, you need to do it too. So they expect that from the other person as well. The potential for success in organizing and group activities. Yeah, Libra, of course. And Saturn is also kind of a leadership thing. It's a very serious leader. Legal agreements may become important partnerships, of course, right? I mean, makes sense. Now, the sort of flip side, we have the desire to see both sides can lead to dithering indecision. And they can promise more than they can deliver. That happens too, right? Overpromise, underdeliver. That is also Saturn and Libra. Very, ambition, I guess. This Saturn connection with ambition. And so, yeah, the keyword devotion makes sense, right? So this is anyhow Saturn and Libra from this deck, and we've seen often like this meaning, and what we see in the cards is sometimes it's like hello, it doesn't match. Okay, let's look at the number 3. 3 is connected with creativity, with growth, with expansion. It's about development, manifesting, loss, and gain, right? So the Trinity, right? 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So 1 being the energy of very, very masculine, 2 being very feminine, 3 is therefore the combination of something that gets created. That's the whole number thing. But yeah, you see that. So that's your 3 vibe. So now take all of that and let's see how that applies to our card in question, which is the 3 of Swords, Saturn in Libra. Okay, let's go one by one. Here in the Rider-Waite, we have this image which basically has been the template for 3 of Swords everywhere, I guess, post Rider-Waite. It's the heart and 3 swords pierced, and then we have the clouds behind, the rain falling. Oh my god. And this is one of the cards I look at, right? When I buy a deck, I'm like, how does the 3 of Swords look like? How does, I guess I also look at the 6 of Swords, the Hermit, 7 of Swords. Oh, interesting. So anyway, the point is, here we have that 3 of Swords. Man, oh man, this card does not, the image does not require any translation. This is like heartbreak, betrayal, suffering, disappointment. This one is also about heart issues. Now again, Saturn and Libra, how does that show up here? And you have to really look, right? First, notice we have 2 swords here which are crisscrossing, right? That is very Libra, right? 2 swords, balance. And see this third one which comes and pierces right between that crisscross. So if these 2 swords are talking, swords being thoughts or ideas or viewpoints or what have you. So if they are talking about two different perspectives or ideas or thoughts which are sort of clashing. So the third one comes to find that middle ground. That's your Libra, I would say, right? And again, this I'm not really stretching the Libra definition. I can see that. And Saturn, of course, is talking about something that is hard to digest. It's about you have to endure this whole experience, because sometimes in life, you have to make that painful decision. No matter how hard it, how it hurts you, you have to do it. It's painful. You have to endure it. Saturn. This is also about justice, right? If you have been betrayed or if you are betraying someone, then the punishment will come. The betrayer and the betrayed both will bear a certain level of pain, and both of them will suffer. The one who has been betrayed will suffer, and their heart will break. But the one who has betrayed will have to live with that knowledge of that betrayal. And that is a very, very hard thing to carry around in your heart. And it kind of eats away at your heart slowly, bit by bit. Ooh, right? See, it does take a minute, but yeah, you can see how it shows up here. Now, let's look at our Marseille Tarot. Here again, we encounter that, the 2 swords sort of creating that, what you may call it, the 2 of Swords creating that boundary there. But then this third sword, now we don't have that big flower, we have this third sword that is sort of that has sort of shown up in the middle of this boundary, and it is pushing past that boundary, and sort of, the little tip of that sword juts out of that boundary. We also see 2 olive branches, if you will, with leaves sort of crisscrossing right underneath that sword. So again, olive branch is often an expression that we have used, and we often see that it's like, hey, let's make peace, right? So these two swords, which in the previous card we saw, they were all about sort of creating that protective boundary, or creating some, like a little space where something was growing. Now, this one thought process, if you will, or this one logic idea, if you will, sort of breaks through that. So you're gonna step out of that boundary, and you're gonna try and break that boundary, right? So it's also about bringing something into balance, into peace with those olive branches, if you will. So we have victory. That makes sense now, right? Now, when you see it this way, it's like, okay, there's a victory. You've broken that boundary. You're overcoming weak opposition. It is also a breakthrough. So where, these two opposing perspectives were just locked in, now the third sword, even here, it performs the same function. It breaks through that sort of stalemate, if you will. And you overcome these boundaries, you break through. There is an intervention by a third person in a quarrel between two people. So you see all of that. So let's come to the thought. Here the keyword is sorrow. Very apt, makes sense, right? And now we see this flower. We see this is a yellow rose with petals falling, right? So in the two of swords, where that was a blue rose, this is now a yellow rose, right? The petals are falling also, and this rose. So the destruction of that rose, it says, it's the knowledge strikes the heart and destroys beauty and harmony. So the rose being the representation of beauty and harmony. Now these sword points kind of come in, sort of, get into that rose, and the petals fall. Everything is painful. So we have one mighty sword and two crooked swords. So we have one powerful insight, and these are the added perceptions. And the background, the calamity is brewing. It's a dark background. Something bad is happening. And, you're losing that perfection, that balance, right? That you had in the previous one, in the Two of Swords, that peace you had created. Now another perspective comes in, and boom, it's gone, right? So it's bad news, disappointment, sorrow, helplessness, disillusionment, failure, miscalculation, painful insights, the loss or the end of a relationship. Make sense? Okay, I like it. So now you come here. Oh my God. Now you see this heart, it comes from here, right? This heart has been pierced, and these two swords, and again, all these swords are linked. Those links, again, if you remember the thought imagery of adjustment, it's, everything is connected. And so they crisscross, and then this third sword. And then you have this guy from the Deccan. So this is about self-realization. This is painful truth leading to clarity. Makes sense, right? It's all of these, the Telos Tarot card sort of combines all the imagery from the previous three cards, I would say, in this particular instance. And this is like melancholy, sobering, bitter truths. Very Saturn, where the sobering would be very Libra. Bitter truths is like a combination. This is unavoidable perceptive insights. This is karmic bindings. I like this one, the karmic bindings, right? These links, right? So all of this pain, because of that Saturn vibe, you can say this is kind of part of the karmic suffering or pain, and you will go through it. You will have to. It's unavoidable. It's part of the journey that you have signed up for, as a soul contract, if you will. We have, sustained marriages and long-term commitments. So this also sort of connects with the meaning we saw in the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. So yeah, interesting. But this is also wild, because when you have these kind of long-term committed relationships, yeah, sometimes there will be, and this is, I would say, a little bit common too. Like when you are in a relationship with someone, even a friendship, over time there will be painful stuff that will happen between the two of you. Not, it's not always roses every day, there's gonna be thorns, right? And so now, within that long term relationship, which has been sustained for a while over time, you will learn to sort of, accept the roses and the thorns together. And so that, I mean, that's how you make it to that point, right? With these long term situations, right? You take the good with the bad, the heartache with the happiness, all of it together, right? So the quiet joys of judicious partnerships and carefully crafted agreements. Here too. So this applies to even, the very Libra and the very Saturn, the legal aspects of things, that where again you accept, okay, the good and the bad together. You kind of, maybe say that, all right, I will understand and I will accept this thing which I don't really like, but in return I get this thing which I really like, and vice versa. So that's the vibe, right? So yeah, you accept that pain, you take it. You're like, okay, there is a sword in my heart, but I'm gonna learn how to live with it, because I'm also getting other stuff which I really like and want. That's kind of the whole vibe here. And so yeah, the keyword sorrow does come in, but the Saturn does bring that very sort of somber melancholy vibe to it. That kind of makes sense. So this is endurance in relationships with honor and solemn promises to self and others. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you see, this was actually one of those cards which I used to kind of get stuck on, because for a very long time I would, but studying the Marse kind of opened my eyes there, because I came back to the Rider-Waite image and I was like, wait a minute. So I used to never be able to sort of connect the whole three being creativity with Three of Swords being pain or suffering and so on and so forth. But now, once you get into the imagery, it kind of makes sense. And even the astrology connection also makes sense. Now, here again, that sextant imagery which we saw earlier, right? With the help of these, I guess, stars in the sky, or these heavenly bodies, right? And the sextant telling you that, hey, let's see where you are in relation to them, so that you know where you are. So in the same way, with the Three of Swords here, you can, understand your relative position to, both sides, the heavenly bodies, and you and all of that in your situation, and then you can be like, okay, this is where I am, this is where I stand in this whole story. That's, it's a painful thing to know, right? It's very sobering, it's very humbling. Right? So that's wild. I like it. I like it. So let's see here. Yeah, six. In your Three of Swords. Ah, and now the final decan, the Four of Swords, which is Jupiter in Libra, right? This is the last 10 days of Libra, 13th October to 22nd of October. This is from the 21st to the 30th degree of Libra. And this third phase of Libra, Jupiter in Libra, the Picatrix decan says, a man riding on a donkey and a predatory animal in front of him, right? So here too, we see a man on a donkey and we see the animal. And we also see this little device. Now come to that. You see how this makes sense? The 2, 3, and 4 each having an interesting device there, right? Now in the Picatrix decans, this particular decan is associated with sinfulness, impudence, sodomy, singing, entertainment, and enjoyment. Oh my god. Again, please help me make sense of this. It doesn't make sense at all. So, but yeah, we do see the man on the donkey and the predatory animal. So there's that. We also see in this Picatrix decans the sinfulness, all of that. It's a very wild imagery. Again, Jupiter and sinfulness, it's wild. Okay. Nevertheless, Do you see this device? At first, I was like, "What is this?" And I actually I took a little snapshot of this and I put it in the Google image search, and it revealed. So this device is called a gyroscope, right? You see, this is a very interesting interesting device. This wheel over here, it is mounted on a gimbal and so that it can spin around its axis. This thing is an axis, and then it's free to change direction. The whole point is this guy, he's holding it in his hand as he rides that donkey, and this thing spins around, right? And that plate is supposed to remain flat. See this one here, it's supposed to remain flat. The idea is this is used, or this device, right, is used to measure or maintain orientation and angular velocity, right? So where do you find these gyroscopes? You see them in, when you want to stabilize, you use these devices to stabilize aircrafts and ships and submarines and spacecraft and rockets and satellites, right? And in our smartphones, this is what is used to enable motion controls, see, for the rotation and the tilt, for stabilizing the images. And this, to me, is pretty wild, that this is the ancient way of the, how the gyroscopes were. And what is the purpose here in this imagery? Again, we are looking at something that is going to orient us to how, the land is, laid out. I would say it's whether it's, to stabilize us, right? To keep us parallel to the ground. That is the whole point of that, gyroscope there. So we'll study this more when we get into this particular card in the in the Four of Swords. But this is wild. So Jupiter in Libra. We've already seen Jupiter. Jupiter is about expansion of the world that we live in, it through education, law, philosophy, travel, abundance, right? Jupiter also being a fiery planet, it rules the watery sign of Pisces and the fiery sign of Sagittarius, right? Jupiter is about trusting life. It's about how we discover deep truths. It's the discovery of meaning in life. Mythologically, Jupiter is again the son of Saturn in that story that we saw, the Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter story. So yes, it's that. So Jupiter is also Zeus, is the king of gods in that way, and he has that whole happy vibe. And Jupiter is about optimism, generosity, and being helpful. He is all about knowledge, education, right? Philosophy. He's about wisdom. He's about ideals, values, all of that. And Jupiter, on the sort of negative side, he can be, he's all about, he overshadows or overwhelms others. He can be extra positive. It's all about excess. Jupiter is about gains and abundance, but also it's always about, it can be about excess. So that's your Jupiter. It's about, the whole grand optimism in a way, and knowledge and wisdom and all of it. Everything is grand. So in our tarot deck, Jupiter is associated with the Wheel of Fortune, right? Which is the wheel of karma, if you will, right? You will see this is the common motive. There's a wheel, and then there are creatures around it. One is bringing the wheel down, one is bringing the wheel back up. And there's a central creature that sits like a sphinx, usually, and that one is sitting right there at the balance, right? You will, only on the right of it, we have these four angels with the Akashic records, right? And then you have these stars and all of that. This is about the cycles of change in our world. This is about luck and fortune, right? This is also about karma in a certain way, because you're actually literally facing the rewards or the consequences of what you have done. This is all about cause and effect and the cyclical sort of, flow of that cause and effect. It's the ups and downs of circumstances. So in that way, it does have a little overlap with Jupiter. It's not a complete alignment, but yeah, there is an overlap. It's about, the karma, the destiny, I guess that is the Jupiter thing. This is also about good fortune in the positive way. It is about, that can be very Jupiterian. So yeah, it does have that connection. And that is your Wheel of Fortune Jupiter thing. So now, Jupiter in Libra, that whole Jupiter energy in the sign of Libra. Now, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, the keyword they have associated with this particular position is negotiation. Now, this is wild, right? Right? Jupiter being the keyword here is gain, and Libra is sense of justice and beauty. So, you're going to put that whole gain through that balanced sense of justice and beauty. So, Jupiter in Libra, the people who have this placement, they often expand their lives through frequent interactions with others. The Jupiterian expansion and the interaction about very, very Libra, right? The cooperation in work and close personal relationships, strong and lasting marriage or relationship. That seems to be a bit of a feature with the Libra energy, I would say more, yeah. Then we have strong connection or concern for justice and moral principles. Yes, because Jupiter is also about the law, and so is Libra. So that matches, right? We have both those kings, Saturn and Jupiter, sitting in Libra here. This is pretty wild, and the cards are 3 and 4 of swords, so that's equally wild. Oh yeah, let's look at this. This is in the image we have a what does it say in the book? In the field before a small town stands a dark maiden from a distant land, her hands raised to provide a link between the sun and the moon and the earth which she stands on, right? Emotions, creativity, and possessions. Yeah, she's connecting everything. So Jupiter in Libra, they do acquire much material and spiritual well-being, right? Because they have, again, Libra brings that diplomatic skills. Jupiter again is all about social and charitable energy, so they have like this whole talent for it, and they acquire things, and overall, this is a time to make a decision. They have to consider pros and cons to ensure the answer is acceptable to both parties. Again, a very Libra thing. The strong desire to please others is the flip side, right? This is again very Libra. You want to please others. Again, Jupiter also wants to please others, right? Jupiter also, in the very grandiose way, can overpromise and then displease people when they can't deliver. Both kings, I would say here, Saturn and Jupiter, have this whole, Saturn will be very serious when making those extra over-promising things, and Jupiter will be a little, oh yeah, we will sort of, grandiosely say that. And then, the need to avoid grandiose schemes and speculative partnerships, as that may spoil the good things they have. You think? And optimism causes indecision due to seeing value in each possibility. Well, yes. Oh, this doesn't surprise me at all. So this is a very nice combination in a way. I mean, this makes sense, right? So the number with our card again, 4 of Swords, 4 being all about stability and structure and order and sort of rigidity and stagnation. So let's see how all this combines in our 4 of Swords, Jupiter in Libra. So in the Rider-Waite, we see this guy lying on what looks like a tomb, and he looks like a statue, right, with his hands folded and everything. Looks like he's kind of become a dead body, but he's not, right? And then here I think we below him we have that one sword. On the wall are the 3 swords. So it's like he's dealing with the pain. He's with his hands folded. He's praying to find the 3 of Swords, the realization that he had in that 3 of Swords. He's trying to deal with it, right? He's trying to sort of come to the balance and the truth of it, perhaps. In the little stained glass window, we see this picture of confession again. back in the day, you could go and you could sort of tell, hey, I did a bad thing, and the priest would be like, hey, that's okay, say this prayer and whatever, and you'll be okay. It was more, I would say, symbolic, that whole, you're free from this particular sort of, the guilt of it. It was more like, okay, I've been forgiven, so you can go and live your life. But here he's not only doing that, he's also within himself, like finding that, for being that whole uh, stability and sort of, space where things remain as is, right? And he's using that space to balance his thoughts out. So he's dealing with his hurt and pain. He perhaps through counseling, perhaps through confession, he's trying to find peace and acceptance. He's healing from all of it. Okay. In the Marseille, what happens now? We get the same scenario, but now with more swords. The two of swords, where there was this enclosure that was created by those swords. Now we have four swords within that, creating that enclosures. But now we look at the flower. It's not that beautiful big flower. It's a small one. It's the bud, right? And it's starting to feel that pressure from that enclosure there, right? It's not really fully happily expressing its floweriness, if you will. So again, this is for bringing that stability, but also the restriction, right? It's blocking and limiting. It's pushing against constraints and boundaries and working under pressure, right? So there's a little less space. The space is now limited to grow, right? For maneuvering, and it's stable, but the potential for growth can't be fully expressed. That makes sense. But now we come here, and the thought is a whole different party. We have Jupiter here, and we have the Libra here. Now we see four swords kind of, touching the tips here at this point. So now this is from the little symbolism book here, that somewhere over there is Saint Andrew's cross, which is a representation of suffering and martyrdom. Oh, I think this green one, is that Saint Andrew's cross? I don't know. So I mean, please, if someone knows, let me know. Maybe this is that Saint Andrew's cross. Okay. And then we have the 49 petaled rose, this one, which again, 49 is 7 times 7, right? 7 is the number of whole, love and beauty. And so 7 times 7 is wholeness. So we have that. So suffering and martyrdom and wholeness. And then these four swords come here. And so, this is standstill. That brings neither a change for the worse nor an improvement, right? Things are at a point where it's not bad, but it's not good. And where they meet at, at the center, this is focused mental powers, concentration, pause. And then these little confused yellow star patterns in the background represent restless prospect. That's wild. So yeah, it's wild. But yes, Four of Swords can be a pretense of peace, right? So it's not good, it's not bad. It could be temporary. It's a bit of a break. That's the Four energy. It's the calm before the storm, because, when the fire comes, it'll be crazy. There's a stuck situation, again, temporary. Lack of growth options, compromise to avoid conflict, seeking therapy, rethinking relationships, right? And so this is Four of Swords here. So it's called truce, but again, this is very temporary, right? This is just finding that little space in that craziness to just like, let me take a breath here. Let me just come to terms with the crazy things. When the background things are going haywire anyway. So yeah. And then we come to the telos, right? So this is from the book. There it says there are contradictory significations in this decan, both joy and wicked acts of lust. The key is finding the balance and stillness at the center of the world's whirling maelstrom of extremes. So that explains the gyroscope. So as things are going all over the place, the basic ground under your feet can, be changing. This helps you find your orientation, find the balance, if you will, but now in a bigger way. It's a bigger sense of balance you will have to find. Reorient yourself every few little distance you go, right? So that's the compromise, the truce. But see, this predatory animal that's kind of lurking around, it kind of says, hey, troubles are up ahead. You're trying to reorient, maybe after the painful melancholic understanding you've got from the previous decan. Yes, it will shatter you, but now you're reorienting. Well, look, this predatory animal up ahead, something troubling is going to happen. This wolf is following you. It's not following you because it likes you. It might want to like to eat you, right? Something like that. So there's truce after an arduous encounter, temporary stability to rest and contemplate. I like this one, temporary refuge within structure. Ooh, this is my favorite one, right? So then problems postponed so that one can recharge and gain perspective and build strength for what lies ahead. Perfect. So, how does Jupiter show up here? Libra, I get it's the four, it's the balance, it's the trying to find the kind of the very opposing energies that balance everything out. The Libra energy is everywhere on all these cards. Where do you see the Jupiter energy, right? Jupiter, again, if we remember, it's about understanding, it's about philosophy, it's about the law, I guess. It's about the deep, sort of deeper truths. Yes, you don't see the whole expansion and gain vibe, but you do see the knowledge, the philosophy, the maybe the slightly ethical vibe that comes in here. So again, the Jupiter vibe is very, you have to see it, I guess, but the Libra vibe is totally there here in the Four of Swords. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let me know. So there we go. And this is the this is the gyroscope. I found these. Pretty cute. Okay. So let's look at it all together. So here you go. Your moon and moon in Libra. Right, this is Libra here. And so you see, in the telos, we have this very interesting thing happening. We have the calipers or the dividers measuring 2 points. Then the sextant, which kind of takes 3 points into consideration, so you can find your relative location. But then the gyroscope is like, hey, also reorient yourself with the earth or whatever the flat surface is below your ground. So keep, it's not just about finding those 2 points and measuring that and finding the balance. It's also about orienting yourself in relative relation or in relation to other things, but then stabilize yourself in the four. You see, this is wild. I don't know, I like it. So we see this beautiful play of the three the decans of Libra here, right? So we see the moon energy in the 2, we see the Saturn energy in the 3, and we see the Jupiter energy in the 4. Okay, and we see the Libra energy is there everywhere, without doubt. There's no disputing that. Okay, so then what about the supporting cast, the cards, right? In this particular sign, we now start with a new set of ace and page. So we have the Ace of Cups and the Page of Cups, because the next sign, Scorpio, which is in this sort of trio, we have Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. The middle sign being a water sign, so hence Ace of Cups. The next trio, of course, will be Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So the middle one is Aquarius, and so that's an air sign. So then we'll have the Ace of Swords and Page of Swords there. So anyway, for Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, these are the supporting cards. The Ace of Cups and the Page of Ace of Cups. Again, you will see beautifully drawn cups. So beautiful, right? In the Rider-Waite also, this is like, wow, a beautifully decorated cup. The Ace of Cups from the Marseille Tarot is beautiful. It's like you can sit here and you can find a lot of things going on. The fourth Ace of Cups is quite the cup, yeah, and the telos also very beautifully drawn. You will, the big common feature, I would say, especially with the Rider-Waite, the Thoth, and the Telos, you'll have the sort of water streams gushing out of the cup, right? And you just have this water base. But in the Marseille, you just have that cup there. And again, there's a closed cup, yeah, there's vial. But these three are all open cups, you know. So that's the thing, similarity and differences. And this kind of looks like a castle on top of a cup, if you will. But yeah, again, beautiful. So what happens, right? We have the water. Water is feelings. Cups are all about feelings, the suit of cups. Ace of Cups, again, the root of the powers of water. Yeah, so this is the initialization of water energy, if you will. And so here, all the emotions are overwhelming. Yeah, in the Rider-Waite, you see that, feelings everywhere. And so you can get feelings, you will have intuition, creativity, everything. That's just, oh, it's surging, right? And then you have spiritual enlightenment, because we see that dove with the cross and everything. There's also a lot of that, very Christian imagery there with the wafer and the thingy and all of that. But yeah, so we have that. This is about pure love. This can also connect with pregnancy. Hey. So this is the Ace of Cups, right? Here in the Marseille Tarot, this Ace of Cups can be about mystical aspirations, the desire to grow beyond the material and the ordinary, right? This is the yearning for the unattainable. Earthly love is a reflection of heavenly love. There's a lot of these very divine spiritual vibes to it, okay? Which makes sense. Then here, the Thoth talks about bliss, inner joy, harmony, fulfillment, finding one's true calling, right? And this makes sense, because when you find it, it's like, oof, you feel so joyful, and happy. But it's not like, oh, I'm going to start dancing and all. I mean, you could, but it's just like deep down there's this contentment that starts to happen, right? It's about deep love, devotion, the all-encompassing love and romance. And here too, in the Ace of Cups of the Telos, we have, look at the lotuses. I love that. You see that in the Rider-Waite too. The power to love, receptive emotions, love in its many forms, reflection, intuition, compassion, conception, and fertility. So we do see that. There's this whole, joyful energy, that root of the powers of water. And then with the page, right? Page is going to take that and he's going to go with it, or she in the case. Yeah, yeah. So we have the Page of Cups from the Rider-Waite, and he's got all these lotuses on his dress and everything. And he's that, it's a very interesting thing about the fish coming out of there. It's a very, that's the story, the Bible story with the, fish and everything. So here we have new ideas that come in, intuitive understanding, the faith, devotion, all of that. Pages are again earth or water, remember. So Page of Cups. So yeah. So it's all beautiful faith, devotion, belief, pregnancy, birth, all the things, right? The young child, but also someone who is emotionally very astute, very aware, very connected that way. Now, the Marseille Page of Cups has someone who's undergoing an inner transformation. You see that little cloth from his dress that sort of covers the thing. It's also got that flesh is about the body, right? Flesh color. Then we have someone who is fresh and inexperienced with romantic or emotional situations. He's a page, so yeah, he doesn't really know much. First, unsure steps. He's shy, unable to understand one's feelings, causing unintentional hurt. And this is interesting because as the page, yeah, he's young, he's unable to sort of make sense, but feelings are happening, so he can't express them clearly, properly, or even understand them deeply. Like he knows what he's feeling, but he can't quantify it or qualify it or express it in the right, if you can't find the right words. Yeah, makes sense. Now look at this. The fourth Princess of Cups. We have her holding a shell with a little turtle in it. That is so cute. And we have this fish here, we have lotus, we have this swan, is it? Well, this is a very sensitive person, who is seductive, who is a dreamer, who is a daydreamer, romantic, intuitive, instinctive. Oh, yeah, all the cup things. Trusting one's feelings, slowly opening up, self deception, misusing the powers of seduction, naive, on the sort of negative side. And then, of course, the Princess of Cups from the teller. She's earth of water, so she's standing by the beach or in the water, but by the beach. And there's a dolphin, and there's, oh, that's a swan. There's a lotus. There's a cup. Oh, it's all the things, right? So she's youthful. She's soothing. She's cooling, gentle, tender, right? She has a tender emotional heart. She's helpful. She works behind the scenes. She can be self-absorbed, deceitful, and overly reliant on others. Well, she's the Princess of Cups, so that's kind of the story, right? So now the Ace and the Page of Cups, they are the supporting sort of system for this entire trio: Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. So they provide, in that sense, this whole combination, this very ace energetic combination, the Ace and the Page. They bring the understanding, the intuition. They bring the feelings that provide sort of the bedrock or the basis for these three signs. They bring the EQ into Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, I would say, right? So, with that said, I believe the first two decans, which is the 2 and 3 of Swords, the supporting card is still the Queen of Swords, right, from the previous last decan. So we have the lady with the sword, which again, very Libra, who also is, she has an open heart, she's water of air, so that's happening. And, she's all about boundaries. She's all about, like, cut through the bullshit, get to the heart of the matter kind of a thing. She's very creative and all of that, but she's also focused and compassionate at the same time. She's kind of a balance between logic and feeling in a way. But again, boundaries, that's her thing. You cross those boundaries and you'll get it. Right? So she likes to remain secure and protected in a static situation. That's the energy with the Marseille Queen of Swords, right? And she is protecting herself. That's what they say, right? So in the thought, she's literally, and even in the teller, she's literally holding the head of this man that she's like chopped off. Yes, I guess someone crossed the boundaries, so the head got chopped off. That makes sense, right? She's got a lot of ideas. She has presence of mind, independence. She's free from everybody's sort of rules and things, and she's mentally, she's elevated to that place. She can be very quick-witted, rational, clever, right, and cynical and calculating, with a talent for negotiation, right? Over here in the telos, with sharp woman, clever, perceptive, independent. She does not suffer fools gladly. That is a thing. And she's observant, and she sharpens her skills and cuts off useless aspects without a pity. and liberates mind, right? So here's the thing: the Queen of Swords, that balance between logic and compassion, that enforcement of boundaries, that whole thing with the 2 and the 3 of Swords, I guess that's her supporting vibe there. And then and then with the 4 of Swords, you get the Knight of Cups, right, bringing in the sort of active EQ. With the Page, it was more like very nascent, very budding EQ. The Knight is like, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to move forward with this. So in the Rider-Waite Knight of Cups, you see him, becoming more of a healer, more romantic. He's steady and balanced, and he's compassionate. In the Marseille Tarot, you see a very sincere and open person who, he's courting and he's giving up his personal ambitions for ideals, right? And very Jupiterian ideals. Yes, yeah, oh, lovely. In the Prince of Cups from the Thought, he is all about transformation, renewal, emotional strength. He's charming, seductive, imaginative, successful, artistic, expressive, and so on. And you see the energy in the Prince of Cups from the Telos as well. Again, this is a different take, but air of water. So this is someone whose inner nature is hidden. He has secretive motivations. He is calm exterior, hides intense inner dispositions. He desires power and can be wily and lacking in conscience. Very passive aggressive. I like it. This eagle also sometimes, I think it's also, and you can see the Scorpio tail here. So this has got a very, it's got a more Scorpio vibe, I would say. Air of water. That makes sense. Okay. So this is your Knight of Cups supporting the Four of Swords, and I guess the next two cards in the following Decan of Scorpio. So here we put it together. Here's your mind map visualization, if you will. These handouts are also going to be in the Google Drive thing, so you can totally take a look at that. This is your Three of Swords and the Four of Swords. Wow. So now let me kind of come here. So yeah, in the Two of Swords, we did see a lot of the Moon and Libra vibes. This was totally Moon and Libra. It could totally be that. I'm okay with this. This was fine. The Three of Swords, the Saturn in Libra, yeah, it took a little doing, but the Saturn thing actually kind of helped, and you can see how it all plays out. I like it, right? The imagery and everything, it really matches. Now with the Four of Swords, well, the Libra was very, very prevalent, and you could see that. The Jupiter was little, let me see how I can bring that here. It took some doing. I didn't quite see the Jupiter, but hey, that's, little bits of it, but not all of it. So there you go. That is the 3 decans of Libra. And I sincerely hope this was helpful for all of you and this was useful for all of you. And please, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what if you have different insights and so forth. Please let me know in the comments. I love reading your messages and I love reading your insights and inputs. And I mean, if you want to go put it on the blog, do that. That's fine too. Wherever, or just it's amazing because it also helps me sort of learn, and all your insights add to mine. So it's great. That's the whole point, right? That's a very Libra thing. Let's all collaborate, shall we? So yeah, in the spirit of Libra, I would say, please talk to me. Let me know what you think. Okay. So I will see you again with the next sign, Scorpio. Towards sometime in November, I guess. And yes, sign up for the newsletter because I will be starting the whole pre-order thing soon. So sign up so you get the discount code, right? I do this once a year, every year. So, and with the way things are going, make sure you have your annual reading. So, because I refer to mine a lot, so you can always refer to yours as well. It's a thing. It's a beautiful thing. Anyhow, so I will sign off now, and I will see you again soon. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.